Tonight, scores of people flock mini-marts and small shops as government relaxes the 24-hour lockdown. Minister Guy Joseph says government did not cave to public pressure to open up shops, but says the behavior of people proves that the lockdown with no warning was the right move. And Dr. Ernest Hilaire says the rollout and backtracking on the 24-hour lockdown has been chaotic and illogical. We have the details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Thursday, the 2nd of April, 2020. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News on Flow Channel 117, also on Kiss FM and our Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Economic Development Minister Guy Joseph has defended the decisions taken by the government to contain community spread of COVID-19. The minister says the lack of discipline shown by members of the public is all the absolution the government could ever need for putting a 24-hour lockdown into effect without warning. As for the decision to allow community small shops and mini-marts to open after the lockdown, the minister insists that government did not cave to public pressure. Economic Development Minister Guy Joseph vehemently denies suggestions that government caved in to public pressure when it came to relaxing the stipulations of the 24-hour lockdown to allow mini-marts and shops to open on Thursday, the 2nd of April, and next week, Monday.
There's no sign of weakness on the part of the Prime Minister or giving in under pressure. It was something that was agreed to prior to the announcement being made. We knew where we would give the reprieve to the people. But we were expecting that after the first 24 hours of the shutdown, that people would come to their senses and would begin to realize, look here, we are not going to die from starvation or lack of water or any such thing. The greatest likelihood of more people dying in St. Lucia is COVID-19.
Joseph says the chaos that ensued outside mini-marts and small shops justifies the decision that was taken by the government to implement a 24-hour lockdown without notice.
In looking at the situation, I think that under the leadership of Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, that the best decision was made to shut down the country with immediate effect. And if anybody doubted that, the few hours of opening today would have sealed that decision. And I can tell you, before I came here, from early this morning, I was getting the videos, the calls, the messages. It's unfortunate that the ill discipline in our society, I don't know if people think that if they stand closer together, that they would get to the door faster. I mean, it still baffles me that people would try to buy 2 pounds of rice to eat today, that if they don't eat, they will not die, or they will not suffer that much, as opposed to risking themselves getting COVID-19.
The minister says huddling up in crowds at a supermarket or shop is not a wise decision during the COVID-19 pandemic, no matter the circumstances. He says hunger is a better option than the virus.
If you do not need something, when you go to the place and you see the chaos, please, if you have to go hungry for a meal, I would say it is more beneficial to go hungry for one meal than to risk getting COVID-19, because we don't know what is going to happen.
Joseph says the lockdown was the natural progression, given that St. Lucia confirmed community spread of COVID-19. He says that should have been clear to everyone. Moving forward, he says it is important that everyone treats everyone like they have the virus. We needed a lockdown and it should have been in effect even earlier. But how the lockdown was implemented was impulsive and has led to even more chaos than was trying to be avoided. That is the sentiment of Castries South MP, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. Castries South East MP Dr. Ernest Hilaire is questioning the astuteness of the government given the way in which the 24-hour lockdown was rolled out. He believes that notice could have been served and that the situation could have been managed with proper planning. He had made a recommendation to handle any level of panic early on.
First of all, and I just left my constituency driving around, watching what's going on and talking to a few people. First of all, I think we should not disagree that we should have a lockdown. In fact, myself and some other persons shared the view that we should have had a lockdown a long time ago, that we've taken too long to have the lockdown. So we do not disagree with the lockdown. But I think, most people express concern with how it was done. Because, and I said so when I addressed the stakeholders, it is better for us to manage some panic and fear now than to have to manage an explosion down the road. And some people disagree with me. But the point is, I believe we could have served notice about there is going to be a lockdown at some point. Why? Because we were telling people not to panic shop, not to stock up. There is enough for everybody. We were telling people we are rationing. You can only get so much. And then for them to hear at 8:30 in the night when a curfew has already gone into effect, that we have a 24-hour lockdown for 7 days.
Dr. Hilaire says all supermarkets and all gas stations should have been opened. This is why.
Today, I still don't understand the decision that you only open the mini-marts and the small shops. All that's going to cause is everybody who requires something concentrating on very small shops, causing more of a crisis. The big stores that have the huge turnovers probably should also be open to lessen the stress on the small shops and aggravating social distancing issues. If we open the larger stores, up north, Galaxy gas station is open. Why can't all the gas stations open instead of having 500 cars lined up outside Galaxy?
The MP says there are many examples across the world that the government could have examined to ensure that the best possible model was rolled out.
So many examples of how you can put different systems in place. Panama, for example, has an interesting system. Men go out Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Women go out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. Nobody goes out on Sunday. That's what Panama tried, to make sure that they have some level of control. And you could probably have a day only persons over 50 go out. There's so many different systems we can design to try to make it work.
As per the government's orders, mini-marts, small shops and bakeries are also free to open on Monday the 6th of April from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. Long queues and crowd buildup were evident throughout various parts of the island on Thursday morning. Government announced late on Wednesday that mini-marts and small shops could open on Thursday and Monday if they so choose from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. Members of the public rushed out to try to grab their essentials. They were cautioned to maintain distance, and in some cases, there was evidence that people were maintaining safe distance. But in most cases, people were seen converging on small shops and huddling up in groups. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more in this report.
Government announced late on Tuesday that mini-marts and small shops could open on Thursday 2nd April from 6 a.m. to 12 noon and Monday 6th April from 12 a.m. to 12 noon if they so choose. Members of the public were cautioned to maintain social distance to ensure that the efforts to contain COVID-19 are not eroded. What unfolded all around the country were long lines and crowds that were concerning given the threat of COVID-19. We spoke to a few customers on the lines at various supermarkets.
2 hours, 7:40. Pardon? And the line was long so? No, it wasn't long so. Everybody was doing the right thing, and some people just coming and just causing a lot of chaos to them. That makes no sense.
One customer indicated that many persons on the line showed no regard to the social distancing protocol. Clip. Another customer stated that she was utterly elated that the mini-marts are opened as it allowed her to finally get her essentials. She, however, cautioned others to be cognizant and practice social distancing.
Some people, they have to go, they're too close. Some people at the back there, they're too close. Yeah. And I there after 7, I there.
On the other end, one customer thought the initiative was completely counterproductive.
People have to respect the social distancing because you don't know who have corona, who haven't got it. And the other thing, some people getting their money really late and some people don't have groceries at their home, so they have to come to the supermarket. Or like me, I have to come to the supermarket. And I see it's a chaos thing that's going on there, but I'm just praying that I get everything, thank God.
It is very evident that many people have mixed views about this initiative. The public is advised to continue practicing social distancing and adhering to all COVID-19 protocol set by the relevant authorities for the safety of the nation. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
We all have heard the saying, what a difference a day makes. That was very clear on Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, the 1st of April, was the first day of a 7-day, 24-hour curfew. A blanket of quiet fell over the city of Castries on that day. Here are some of the scenes of the city of Castries on Wednesday.
I win the lottery, nothing can worry me as I look at my life and see all the signs. I'm glad for the little things, thanks for the little things. I can open my fridge and have something to eat. Some people can't do that. I can knock off my eye and have somewhere to sleep. Some people can't do that. I feel so grateful, happy and able. At the end of the day, it may be hard at first, regret is even worse. You take the stress in, turn them into blessing. These are the little things, thanks for the little things. Opportunity to give myself a treat. Some people can't do that. I can kick off my shoes, relax, put up my feet. Some people can't do that. It may be simple, but I'm happy and grateful. At the end of the day, down on my knees, I pray. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees, I pray. Thank you, Jaja. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees, and I go down on my knees for my friends and family. I go down on my knees, 'cause you've been good to me, I pray. Thank you, Jaja. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees, I pray. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. All hands to the sky. If you believe in the Most High, thanks for giving me life.
By comparison, Thursday saw busy street corners outside mini-marts and shops as government gave members of the public a 6 a.m. to 12 noon window to shop for essentials.
Ooh, yeah. All hands to the sky. If you believe in the Most High, thanks for giving me life. Look at the daylight, I feeling blessed like I win the lottery. Nothing can worry me as I look at my life. time. Glad for the little things. Thanks for the little things. I can open my fridge and have something to eat. Some people can't do that. I can knock off my eye and have somewhere to sleep. Some people can't do that. I feel so grateful, happy and able. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees. I pray, I pray. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees. I pray, I pray. Thank you, Jaja. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees. Oh, make your advances, take all your chances. It may be hard at first, regret is even worse. You take the stress in, turn them into blessings. These are the little things, thanks for the little things. Opportunity to give myself a treat. Some people can't do that. I can kick off my shoes, relax, put up my feet. Some people can't do that. It may be simple, but I'm happy and grateful. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees. I pray, I pray. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees. I pray, I pray. Thank you, Jaja. At the end of the day, I go down on my knees, and I go down on my knees for my friends and family. I go down on my knees, 'cause you've been good to me. I pray, I pray. Thank you, Jaja.
Minister Guy Joseph says the government is taking due care and attention to craft a COVID rescue plan for people impacted by the economic fallout of COVID-19. He says government's figures show that some 30 to 40,000 workers have been impacted, but he says rushing with a rescue plan is ill-advised because the situation is still changing at a rapid pace. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
Minister Guy Joseph is calling on members of the public to exercise a bit of patience and cooperate with the government as a COVID-19 rescue plan is being put together to cushion the economic fallout due to the virus that has caused a shutdown on all non-essential businesses and led to many job losses.
We understand the need for a stimulus package to help sustain families. And that is why the appeal of the government is, let us control the spread of the virus. There's not an endless supply of money. We are not the US where we can go and print 2 billion or 2 trillion and say we are going to have a stimulus package with this.
The minister indicated that the right balance must be struck in order to ensure that enough is being allocated to healthcare, the stimulus package, and the reviving of the economy post-COVID-19. Joseph indicated that the complaints concerning the fact that other countries have announced their packages carry no weight when nothing is being done, and is appealing to the nation to understand that there is a process.
St. Lucians, I'm appealing to us to understand the method of operations. The method of operation is that if we control the spread of the virus, we reduce the expenditure that we are going to have on managing COVID-19. We are going to get a much better stimulus package for the economy. But if you now have to be battling between spending in the economy and responding to the health crisis, people's lives matter more than anything else.
Joseph stated that the situation with COVID-19 is dynamic, and thus the government is doing everything in its power to ensure that the stimulus or relief packages cater to the people's needs.
That is why I am very pleased with the approach that the government is taking to say, look here, let us get the health situation under control. And once we have that under control, we would be in a much better position to begin to deal with an overall rescue package on the economic side of things. So matters have been considered. We've looked at all the workers who have been laid off, not just in the hotel industry, But in private businesses, in the manufacturing sector, you look at your vendors, your attractions, your taxi drivers, your minibus operators who have now had to go on a shutdown completely. So you look across the board and you're looking at, well, initially we were looking at maybe 15,000 workers being impacted. Now we're talking about 30 and 40,000 workers. Now, had we hastily gone ahead and announced a rescue package for these workers who had been impacted, with the understanding that the others would remain employed, then all of a sudden you are doubled up on the number of people who are unemployed. This situation changes every day.
The minister says the situation remains fluid, and so any announcement on an economic rescue plan would be premature. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, the Chief Medical Officer tells you what to do if you feel sick. NEMO begins distribution of relief packages to the vulnerable. And the Soufrière MP appeals for people to abide by COVID-19 protocols after arrest. The details of these stories and more coming up after this quick break.